Many older adults suddenly notice that lifting groceries or rising from a favorite chair feels strangely heavier than before. They pause, wondering when ordinary movements transformed into tiny challenges, quietly stealing confidence from their once capable bodies. This slow decline isn't just inconvenience. It's an overlooked biological process known as sarcopenia that begins accelerating after 60 years. Researchers at a leading North American geriatrics institute describe it as a silent epidemic affecting nearly every aging community worldwide. For decades, society taught seniors to simply accept weakness as an inevitable consequence of growing older and slowing metabolism. That belief quietly eroded motivation, convincing countless people that their muscles were permanently fading beyond any chance of restoration. Yet modern science reveals something powerfully reassuring. The body never forgets how to rebuild lost strength and resilience. Dr. Emily Carter, a Harvard-trained physical medicine specialist, explains that muscle fibers retain dormant memory switches awaiting correct activation. When seniors provide those signals through proper movement and nutrition, regeneration begins within remarkably short periods of consistent effort. Imagine an older gentleman in Ontario feeling renewed stability just 2 weeks after following a gentle reactivation program. He hadn't touched exercise equipment in years, yet simple tension-based movements reignited strength he thought was gone forever. Researchers emphasize that these transformations aren't miracles, but natural responses. Once neglected systems finally receive purposeful stimulation again. This discovery carries emotional weight because it overturns decades of resignation embedded deep within cultural conversations about aging. For many, realizing that frailty isn't destiny feels like reclaiming permission to participate fully in life again. It replaces quiet despair with curiosity and cautious hope that vitality may return with the right, safe, science-guided approach. A recent clinical review confirmed that adults past 60 can recover up to 30% of lost muscle within 14 days. That progress emerges not from punishing workouts, but from consistent, intentional activation that awakens muscle memory pathways. Think of the body like an orchestra whose instruments simply fell silent. The conductor only needs to raise the baton. Each deliberate repetition acts as that signal, reminding every fiber of its original purpose to lift, move, and sustain independence. So while most seniors believe muscle loss is irreversible, emerging research tells an entirely different, deeply empowering story of renewal. Before we reveal the specific forgotten exercise that triggers this reconnection, let's first uncover why strength disappears so unexpectedly fast. Most people assume their muscles weaken simply because the calendar advances. But biology tells a more hopeful, fascinating story. When seniors slow down or limit certain movements, their brains quietly begin turning off the signals that activate key muscle fibers. This process, called neuromuscular downregulation, gradually convinces the body that strength is no longer required for daily survival demands. A leading UK mobility clinic found that just 2 weeks of minimal activity can reduce leg engagement by nearly 15%. That figure surprises many because it proves that immobility, not age, trains muscles to forget their original coordinated function. Dr. Helen Ward, a respected physiotherapist from London, explains that inactivity teaches the nervous system to prioritize conservation instead of activation. She adds that our muscles remain capable, but the control center, the brain, essentially stops calling them into action regularly. Think of your neuromuscular network as a telephone line. When unused, static builds, and the message never reaches its destination clearly. Every time a person skips bending, climbing, or pressing, those communication lines weaken slightly until strength becomes harder to retrieve. Imagine an older woman walking daily around her neighborhood, believing that effort alone protects her legs from deterioration completely. While her heart and endurance benefit, her thigh and hip stabilizers rarely experience meaningful tension or full-range activation anymore. Over months, this gentle pattern slowly convinces the body that those dormant fibers can safely stay offline without consequence. Yet, the moment light resistance or mindful tension reappears, the nervous system reawakens, rapidly reminding muscles how to contract powerfully again. In fact, the same study demonstrated that brief, low-impact exercises restored lost leg responsiveness in seniors within 10 short days. That discovery underscores an empowering truth. The human body never abandons its capacity. It merely pauses until re-invited to participate. Dr. James Thompson from Cambridge University summarizes it best. Movement is the body's language, and silence breeds misunderstanding between muscle and mind. This emotional realization often sparks relief among older adults who once felt betrayed by their declining physical performance. They begin to see weakness not as irreversible decay, but as a reversible consequence of reduced stimulation and forgotten communication. Empathy matters here because many seniors stopped exercising due to fear of injury, not lack of willpower or discipline. Recognizing that safety can coexist with progress reignites confidence and curiosity to experiment with gentle, guided movement again. The old belief insisted that walking alone maintained complete strength, but evidence shows endurance doesn't equal robust muscle activation. The new truth reminds us that tension, whether pressing against a wall or holding a stable pose, creates genuine rebuilding opportunities. By embracing this distinction, seniors transition from passive maintenance to active reawakening of physical potential they believed permanently lost. What modern science has revealed next explains why one forgotten movement style can reawaken your body's muscle memory. Faster than anything else, most seniors believe rebuilding strength demands exhausting gym routines, yet modern science reveals a much gentler and profoundly smarter alternative instead. This forgotten principle, called neuromuscular reactivation, focuses on re-establishing communication between the brain and individual muscle fibers long left underused. Researchers from a 2024 peer-reviewed study observed remarkable gains among adults aged 65 performing slow, tension-based movements consistently for 2 weeks. These participants improved leg power and coordination without lifting weights, proving that muscle memory awakens through precise signaling rather than brute effort. To understand this, imagine your muscles as Wi-Fi receivers. Years of inactivity weaken the connection until the signal nearly disappears. When you introduce mindful, controlled contractions, it's like resetting your router, instantly strengthening the communication pathway between command and action. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, a Canadian rehabilitation specialist, describes this method as teaching muscles to listen again after long, comfortable silence. Unlike typical exercise, neuromuscular reactivation emphasizes awareness over exhaustion, using smaller movements that demand focused intention instead of mechanical repetition. When an older adult performs an isometric hold, like gently pressing palms together, the brain receives feedback confirming strength still exists. That feedback loop builds confidence, encouraging deeper engagement and gradually restoring the synchrony between nerve impulses and physical response patterns. Every contraction sends oxygen-rich blood into fibers, awakening mitochondria responsible for producing energy essential to movement and tissue repair. Think of it as turning lights back on in a house where certain rooms remained unused, dusty, yet fully intact. The power never left. It was simply waiting for someone to flip the correct switch with patience and precision. Neuromuscular reactivation relies on deliberate pauses, controlled breathing, and sensory awareness rather than fast repetitions or heavy external resistance. Each second spent holding gentle tension refines balance, boosts joint stability, and prevents sudden strain by teaching calm muscular control again. That is why rehabilitation programs across the United States increasingly include low-impact static exercises for older patients regaining coordination and strength. The emotional transformation accompanying these routines is often striking because progress becomes visible sooner than most people expect initially. After years of frustration, seniors suddenly feel reconnected with their bodies, realizing capability never truly vanished. It simply went dormant. This realization replaces confusion with confidence and restores motivation rooted in understanding rather than intimidation or unrealistic expectations. Dr. Andrew Collins, a British physiologist, notes that the nervous system's adaptability continues lifelong. Inactivity suppresses it, but precision effortlessly revives function. He emphasizes that each intentional contraction acts like a short rehearsal, reminding muscles exactly how to execute familiar daily tasks again. Simple analogies make this science relatable. Cleaning a clogged filter, rebooting an old computer, or dusting off forgotten piano keys carefully. Each analogy reinforces the concept that dormant pathways respond best to consistency, not force, aligning perfectly with safe, senior-focused training. These subtle movements, such as wall pushes, seated leg extensions, or controlled breathing stretches, stimulate coordination across multiple neural circuits simultaneously. Over time, those circuits strengthen like upgraded wiring, allowing effortless balance, quicker reflexes, and dependable mobility even beyond traditional exercise expectations. The beauty lies in accessibility because anyone, regardless of equipment or athletic history, can practice reactivation safely from home environments. It merges physical health with mental engagement, reducing anxiety surrounding movement and fostering renewed trust within one's resilient aging body. This new truth challenges the outdated notion that only gym workouts rebuild muscle, replacing it with empowerment through mindful motion instead. By learning to communicate consciously with their bodies, seniors regain autonomy, vitality, and a deeply personal sense of physical identity restored. So how can you start today, safely, even if your balance or flexibility isn't perfect? Let's build your gentle 14-day reactivation plan. Now that you understand how neuromuscular reactivation works, it's time to apply this science safely through a simple, structured plan. This 14-day program gently retrains communication between your brain and muscles, using slow, intentional movements anyone can perform at home. It's divided into 3 progressive stages designed for all ability levels: awaken, activate, and reinforce, each reinforcing your body's natural capacity for restoration. Before beginning, check with your clinician or physiotherapist to ensure these exercises align comfortably with your personal health circumstances. Remember, this plan focuses on consistency and connection rather than intensity. Improvement comes from regular, mindful repetition, not strenuous effort. During days 1 through 5, your goal is to awaken. Sit or stand near a wall or sturdy surface for balance. Start with isometric holds like gently pressing palms against the wall, squeezing your thighs together, or lifting heels slightly off the floor. Hold each contraction for 10 seconds while breathing evenly, focusing on the specific muscle working under deliberate control. These subtle actions may seem small, yet they send clear neurological messages reigniting dormant fibers through renewed sensory attention. Think of them as knocking politely on a door that's been closed for years. The muscle remembers and begins responding gradually. By the end of this phase, you'll notice subtle warmth and improved awareness of posture, balance, and overall stability returning naturally. Next comes days 6 through 10, known as activate. Here you'll introduce gentle, dynamic movements to strengthen those reconnected pathways. Perform chair squats, slow arm raises, and seated leg lifts, moving deliberately while maintaining smooth, controlled breathing patterns. Each motion should feel purposeful, never rushed, keeping joints protected and muscles challenged only within comfortable limits. These activities enhance circulation, improve hormonal signaling, and strengthen your nervous system's ability to coordinate effort efficiently again. Imagine teaching your muscles a graceful rhythm. Each repetition refines precision, like tuning an instrument that's finally being played again. Dr. Michael Harris, a respected American kinesiologist, describes this phase as transitioning from awareness to active self-trust through gentle engagement. Finally, days 11 through 14 introduce reinforce, where the previous exercises merge into a flowing, restorative routine emphasizing posture and breath. Combine wall presses, squats, and leg raises sequentially, pausing briefly between sets to maintain composure and prevent fatigue. Integrating breathing enhances oxygen delivery and trains your body to sustain effort without unnecessary tension or imbalance. At this point, your muscles and nervous system function harmoniously, rediscovering efficiency that may have seemed lost years earlier. Consistency now transforms these exercises from temporary practices into sustainable habits embedded naturally within your daily lifestyle. Safety remains central throughout. Always begin slowly. Support yourself if balance feels uncertain, and rest whenever your body requests recovery. Remember, progress isn't measured by sweat or strain, but by smoother motion, better coordination, and rising confidence during daily tasks. This approach embodies the new truth that strength after 60 doesn't require intensity. It thrives through patience, focus, and persistence. You're not weak, your muscles simply awaited the correct signal, and now you're giving them that long-needed invitation. Here's what happens when real people commit to just 2 weeks of these forgotten movements. Proof that renewal truly begins within. Real transformation often begins quietly, with ordinary people rediscovering extraordinary capability through simple, consistent practice rooted in renewed belief. At 68, Robert Hayes from Texas once dreaded climbing his porch stairs, fearing weakness had permanently replaced his former vitality. After 2 weeks following this gentle reactivation plan, he walked upward confidently, surprised by how quickly stability returned beneath him. His legs felt reliable again, each step echoing proof that effort and patience could still rebuild strength once thought lost. Across the Atlantic, 74-year-old Margaret Collins from Ontario finally returned to her garden without wincing from chronic knee discomfort. She described kneeling among her flowers as feeling my balance come back like an old friend I'd forgotten existed. Her progress reminded viewers everywhere that reawakening strength doesn't require youth, just renewed attention to motion, posture, and steady breathing awareness. Meanwhile, in rural England, 61-year-old retired teacher Linda Harris noticed her arms firming after years of subtle decline unnoticed before. Simple wall presses performed daily rekindled her confidence, allowing her to carry groceries without hesitation or fear of sudden strain. These stories reflect ordinary seniors guided by science, not miracle programs, experiencing genuine improvements grounded in predictable biological response. Doctors reviewing such cases emphasize that small, safe, repetitive movement signals the body's memory to repair and strengthen naturally again. Dr. Emily Carter explains, the nervous system's ability to reorganize never disappears. It merely requires patient invitation through purposeful, consistent activity. That reassurance matters deeply because it transforms doubt into faith, showing recovery remains accessible regardless of previous inactivity or age. The emotional message here is clear. Resilience doesn't retire. It waits quietly beneath layers of habit, caution, and forgotten confidence. When seniors practice mindfully, even minor progress compounds, delivering balance, freedom, and renewed independence that radiates into everyday living joyfully. So if this message offers hope, share it with someone over 60, ready to feel steady, mobile, and strong again. Tell us your age and personal goal in the comments. We read every story because each journey strengthens our shared community. Your body hasn't forgotten how to be strong. It's just been waiting patiently for you to remember, respond, and begin again.